Hello, and thank you for joining me on the show today. This is the Now Talks, a collection of inspiring personal stories and leadership lessons from some of the world's most iconic leaders. It is the weekly podcast for women in leadership, brought to you by Nations of Women. My name is Dr. Tina Allton, and I'm your host for today and the coming weeks. Welcome back to the Nations of Women podcast. It's been 7 whole months since our last episode. So this isn't just a return, it's a reset, a reintroduction, and a recommitment to serving you, the marketplace woman who's building, leading, growing, navigating, and showing up consistently with vision. Whether you lead a team, you run your own business, managing your household, perhaps maybe even whilst juggling career goals, this podcast is for you. The world needs your leadership. But leadership that lasts isn't built on some hype or hustle or social media fluffy stuff. It's built on solid principles, values, character, integrity, vision, courage, and so much more. So today I want to share 12 leadership principles that will reset the way you lead, not just as a doer, but as a builder, not just as a woman in business, but as a woman of purpose. So this is where your next level begins. The leadership reset, you didn't even know you needed it. Let's get right into it. So, principle number one, and I'm not really sharing these principles in any specific order, but I've got to number them so I know that I've got to number 3 or 4 or etc. So, the principle number one is move when it's time. Don't delay. Why am I saying this, Tina? I'm saying this because delayed action will always cost you more than you think. One of the fastest way to lose momentum in business and leadership is to keep waiting on what you already know you're meant to do, right? It's like, oh, I've got to make a decision. I don't know how to make the decision. Okay, let's assume you say, I'm going to flip a coin. The moment you take the coin out of your pocket, the moment it's up in the air, you already have a choice. You already have a decision. So it means that at any point in time, we already have a decision, but either we're waiting for someone to affirm the decision for us, we're waiting for somebody to give us permission, maybe. I don't know. You can check out the previous episodes on decision making and how it impacts you as a leader in terms of the decisions that you make as well as the decisions that you don't make. But leaders in business succeed not by moving when everything is good or everything is perfect, right? Um, and overthinking is also a form of self sabotage. Momentum often will begin after you move. It's like the pendulum. There's no momentum when it's just stationary. So you've got to move in order to gain momentum. And delayed action can mean missed opportunities, progress, and sometimes even, profits or sales, right? In high impact environments, often the leader who moves first usually will move further. So your ability to act in alignment before you're like fully comfortable, fully confident is truly what separates long-term leaders from short-term starters. So here's some actionable challenges for you. Number one, or point one on that is try speaking aloud to yourself. I'm ready to move. I don't need perfection. I just need obedience and action because that is true. All you need as a leader to get started is your obedience and action. Because even the Bible says faith without works is dead. So you can't just have faith and not, take action. You can't just be obedient and not take action. You need both. Another challenge for you is create a one-page decisions I have made. So make a checklist. And write on it, decisions I have delayed, and sit down with yourself. Be brutally honest and examine and explore what decisions have you delayed that you know is costing you, right? And it could be costing you friendships, relationships, opportunities. I don't know, you name it. Pick one this week and move forward on it. Actionable challenge number 3 is take a physical action. And that includes send that email, make that phone call, submit that proposal. Don't wait anymore. In a practical way, or practical application of this principle is use a 24-hour decision window for mid-level tasks. Schedule time blocks for execution, not just planning, right? Because often we plan, but then we don't actually have a solid action on how we're going to execute that plan. So a plan, no matter how wonderful it is, without an appropriate, relevant plan for its execution remains only as simple as that. It just remains a plan. Each day, you want to end each day by either declaring or writing down one bold thing I did today, or what is the one bold thing you did today, right? And the tip here is your action would always precede clarity. As you take an action, you become more and more clear. And disobedience or delayed disobedience still counts as missed opportunities. Okay. And this is the biggest one. This is the biggest news flash, biggest tip. If you take nothing at all from this podcast today, take this. Nothing changes until you move. It's as simple as that. Principle number 2, honor is the edge that your skill alone cannot give you, because without honor and respect, leadership doesn't last. So your talent might open doors sometimes, but it's honor and respect. That is what keeps you in the room. In business and leadership, how you honor, how you respect shows up in how you speak, how you follow through, how you treat people, and how you navigate the relationships that have actually carried you here. So let's think about it. You don't need to always like or agree with everybody in order to honor them. Honor is irrespective of whether you're in agreement or not. But if you dishonor key people in your journeys, doors will begin to close and stay closed. Honor in business is practical. That looks something like meeting deadlines, speaking respectfully, giving credit, and finishing well. Don't be a great starter. Be a person or a leader who finishes well. And some leaders fall not because they failed, but because they just get casual with the people, or maybe the platforms that gave them access, right? Honor and respect sustains what your talent alone cannot. It's what signals maturity, professionalism, and your readiness for more. So, in rooms of influence, right, how you handle people behind the scenes is your leadership brand. Your brand is what everybody thinks of you, when you're not in the room, right? So some actionable challenges for you is voice record a reflection on who has championed or perhaps opened doors for you. And what does, honoring them look like right now, right? Write tell 3 people or spaces you've had access to in the last 6 months and audit how you showed up. And do one visible act of honor this week. And that could be gratitude, support, or stepping up with excellence. Did you know that how you do things, the excellence with which you do things, also communicates respect and honor? Okay, so practical applications here. Stop ghosting people. Reply, follow up, honor time, give proper credit publicly and privately. Don't just give credit and thank you privately. It can be publicly too. When someone has helped you succeed, you want to honor them both privately and publicly. And always close the loops well. Thank people, finish projects with excellence, and don't leave loose ends. I mean, we all sometimes on occasions might, but don't leave too many. Make it a point, make it a commitment that you're going to leave no loose ends. And some tips for you is honor speaks loudest when no one is watching. And if you get too casual with access, when somebody gives you access, when you get too casual with people, access, you will lose it. Respect will get you invited, but honor will get you trusted. Think on that again. Respect will get you invited, but honor will get you trusted. Principle number 3, recognize the window and move in it because some opportunities don't repeat themselves, right? Leadership isn't just about making the right decisions, it's about making them at the right time. Timing is a business skill, it's a life skill. Opportunities expire, and missed moments can delay results for months and in some cases, even years. Some moments might feel ordinary, but they carry extraordinary impact. And it can be a connection, a request, a quiet invitation to step up. So if you're always waiting for the right moment, you will often move far too late. High performers learn to sense momentum shifts and they lean into it, right? So part of emotional intelligence is learning the difference between this isn't right and this is right, but uncomfortable, right? You gotta have the maturity to know what really clear cut isn't right and what is right, albeit uncomfortable. And you've got to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So, some actionable challenges. Record a moment where you missed your timing. What did you learn and how would you respond differently now if that same opportunity was presented to you? Create a windows of opportunity board. Identify 3 areas in your life where you sense the timing is now. I always say the time is now because yesterday is gone. The next half an hour or 5 minutes or down minute, it's not guaranteed. All you have is the now. And the next 1 minute is part of the future. And that is all you have. Take one opportunity you've been sitting on and act on it in the next 24 hours. So I'm giving you 3 challenges here. And then the practical application, again, is use the 72-hour decision rule for time sensitive opportunities. Even if you've been given 1 week, 2 weeks, but it always takes 72 hours to make that decision, especially when opportunities are time sensitive. Application number 2 is practice asking yourself regularly, what would it cost me if I wait? Because self-sabotage is also um, a killer, right? And it's not always the devil or somebody else, giving you problem or stopping you from moving forward or getting to your next level. Often it's ourselves. It's the self-sabotage. It's the we ourselves sabotaging ourselves. Okay. So ask yourself, what would it cost me if I wait? Application number 3, add timing as a regular check-in category during maybe team meetings or project reviews, right? So how you doing on timing, right? Simple question like that. And some tips for you. The best moments wouldn't always feel like the right moment. It would always feel like an inconvenience. But when you think about it, when you give it a minute, you'll be able to pick in your spirit, in your heart, this is it. And you jump right into it. Move with wisdom, but move, my dear sister, just move. The cost of delay is often invincible until it isn't, right? Principle number 4, treat every opportunity like it is a test because how you handle this moment decides the next, right? How you handle this moment decides the next. Not every opportunity is about winning. Some are proving you're ready. You've got to, as a leader, you've got to be maturing. You've got to prove that you're ready to be trusted with more, ready to go the next level, ready to take the next, right? Just because you're in the room doesn't mean you're leading in it yet. And real leadership shows up in how you prepare, not just how you perform. How you prepare also matters. So sloppiness in the little things would very quickly disqualify you from the big things. And that's very, very true. Okay. If you're given a small opportunity and you blow it, you're not going to be given a big opportunity either. So it's not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about effort and due diligence and paying attention to details. So whether it's your clients, people you're collaborating with, partners, everybody's always watching for consistency. And that is one of the leaders' richest currency you can have is being consistent. So some actionable challenges. Voice memo was the next level. What does that look like for you? And whether how you're showing up today matches up to that, right? Review your last three professional interactions. Did you treat them like a test or just like a casual moment? And choose one upcoming opportunity. Prepare for it at the highest level you can. Practical application here, prepare 10% more than you think you need to. If you think, oh, I just need to be like 50% ready, add an extra 10% to it. Okay. Follow up and follow up faster. Show up early. Be the most reliable person in the room. Reliability is so important as a leader. If you can't be reliable, it's just not right. And even treat informal opportunities, the small tasks, the early stage clients with the same excellence as your high profile ones. And your tip, you're being evaluated even when it feels like it's low stakes. Everybody is looking for consistency. So stewardship today is what qualifies you for tomorrow. So if you're going to be qualified for tomorrow, it's how you steward today. How are you stewarding today? And being casual doesn't mean be careless. Okay. Point number 5, lead with who you are, not just what you do. You're not your title. You're who you're created to be. And we know that, the Bible says that even before we were born, there was good works created for us. So you've got to lead with who you are, not just what you do, because credibility is earned in the quiet. Your skill might get you noticed, oftentimes, yes. But your character is what makes people trust you, what makes people refer to you, and what makes people follow you as a leader. So leadership starts with self-leadership. How you lead yourself determines how well you would be able to lead others as well. So if you can't manage your words, your time, or your energy, your results will not be sustainable. People are always paying attention to what you model, not just what you say. And the real brand is who you are when the camera is off or when the contract is signed, right? And oftentimes, the thing is important that we realize that, being aligned in the right way is much more attractive than achieving anything, right? So don't just ask, oh, what do I want to be known for? No, is ask, what do I want to be trusted for? What do you want people to trust you for? Right. And some actionable challenges here is reflect aloud. The reason I keep going about reflecting aloud is when you're speaking, your mind is listening, your head is listening, your heart is listening, your spirit is listening, everything in you is listening. So it's always sometimes good to have um, audible reflections. Where do I feel most aligned with my values and where am I drifting? Because at any point in time, sometimes for all of us as leaders, you may well drift sometimes. But it's good to be able to self-introspect, check where you align with in your values and where you're drifting. You can create a visual mood board of your character values, not just your goals, because often it's like, oh, let's create, goals and personal goals and business goals and, vision boards and all that. But you also want to have a character board, okay? Character values, goals. What character, what values are you wanting to, achieve and grow in? And take one behind the scenes area. Could be your finances, could be admin, could be family, and lead it with more intention this week. So some practical applications is clarify your top 3 personal values and keep them visible. Maybe you can use journaling or feedback loops to self-correct regularly because it's important to know, how are you doing rather than always waiting for somebody to come and tell you. Because if nobody comes, guess what? You're going to be frustrated. You have to be able to lead yourself. So lead consistently across every platform, every area of your life, not just all online, but essentially even more so offline. And remember, consistency builds trust. Who you are behind closed doors shapes every public outcome you would have. And your reputation is your leadership currency, you know. So, the final principle for today's episode, because I don't want us to, overextend this one, would have to do part two. So principle number 6 is you have to respect the structure even when you'd rather not, because honoring systems builds long-term trust. So as a leader, you're not always going to love every system, every structure around you, but your ability to work within order is very important before changing it is part of credibility. Okay, so for every business, every team, every industry, it all runs on structure. There's roles, there's protocols, there's decision pathways. And you've got to have respect for these. And sometimes the next level will actually depend on how well you submit to the current one, right? And leadership is never about control. It's about understanding where your authority fits and you build it through consistency. Okay. And you can't grow where you don't respect or honor people because it's like the soil, that you get to grow in is the respect you give of others, the honor you give to those who are leading you or helping you or above you, right? And supporting you. So you must learn to honor the framework. Even if you're the one destined to upgrade it, you still have to honor it because honor is a leader's richest, finest currency. So some actionable challenges is again, respecting structure is not shrinking, it's strengthening maturity. It's a very good demonstration of your maturity when you're able to respect culture or the frameworks or the structure in which you're operating. And you can identify 3 systems you operate within where you're maybe resisting the structure. I don't know. Only you know, right? And choose one area to fully align with this week, even if you'd normally bypass it. That is also going to be a good marker and a good indication for maturity as a leader. So, some practical application. Just stop fighting every instruction. Ask what's the best way to work within the system first. You just pause. As a leader, you have to learn to pause and you have to just stop fighting, fighting every instruction, fighting everything, right? It's not all got to be your way. You've got to pause and reflect. What's the best way I can work within the system? And you might also want to document your current process and honor them again, coming back to consistency and build structure into your own leadership, into your routines, into your workflows, and into boundaries as well, because it will serve you well. So, the tip here is structure reveals whether you're ready to scale. You can't lead where you refuse to respect and honor. It's simple. That is a principle that never changes. It's time proven. You cannot lead where you refuse to respect and be honorable. And mature leaders work with order because you can then rebuild it. Okay. So if you don't work with order, there's nothing you're going to be able to do to make any difference whatsoever. So these principles are not necessarily a checklist, they are a foundation, strong foundation to build them. You don't need to do them all perfectly, but if you start building your leadership on these truths, one at a time, you will not just grow, you will last. This is not just, your average, or how do I come back? But this is how you reset. This is how your next level starts. So if this has resonated with you, then why don't you share with maybe somebody you admire, somebody that you're supporting, and mentor maybe, or your friends or your sisters. And be sure to subscribe because this season we're building good. We're building bold. We're building through impactful leadership together with each other. So until I come your way again next week, remember that your next level begins now, and how you build the foundations with which you build will determine how well, how long you will last. Enjoy the week and see you again next week, same time. And that's all for this week. You've been listening to Dr. Tina Allton with the Now Talks, the weekly podcast for women in leadership, brought to you by Nations of Women. All that remains is for me to say have a fantastic week, stay safe, and reach out if you need any help now at nationsofwomen.com. Until next time, enjoy the pursuit of your potential, and remember, now is your time.